a Studio B production.
Coming to you from the headquarters of Studio B, right here in Salt Lake City, where provocation is our second nature. This is Dog and Deuce number 119. On this episode, we'll talk about Travis Wilson's run-in with the law, Stephen A. Smith's really telling and baffling comments on ESPN, the Lakers hiring Byron Scott, plus Real Salt Lake is in desperate need of a win streak. Can they do it? It's Dog and Deuce.
Studio B in Salt Lake City. This is Dog and Deuce. Join the conversation at doganddeuce.com or send an email to feedback@doganddeuce.com.
Thanks for listening to episode 119 of the Dog and Deuce Show. Follow along with the show notes at doganddeuce.com.
You can call or text the D&D Show voicemail and text line at 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. Or send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
And this is episode 119 of Dog and Deuce. It's only like probably the 50th show that since we changed the email.
Yeah.
I still can't get it right.
Hey, you're doing great, kid. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Man, I'm trying.
You're doing great.
How you doing, dude?
I'm good. I'm ready. We got a lot of good topics to talk about.
We got a lot
Some
of topics.
are going to incite a riot possibly in your car by yourself.
Yeah.
If you are listening, don't punch your TV. Don't punch your car wheel if you're listening. Don't punch your TV if you're watching us on KPDR.
Yep, KPDR, channel 19.1 and 19.2 over the air, also known as K-Powder.
K-Powder.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that a lot, actually. So welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. Everyone, you can check us out at doganddeuce.com. That's a really good way to check out our audio-only feed. We've been doing that for 4 years. We post every show up there, as well as iTunes, which is a great way to find us. And, of course, KPDR, channel 19.1, 19.2, over the air. All right, let's get into this. Travis Wilson, quarterback up at the University of Utah, starting quarterback.
Question, bigger concern. Cited for underage drinking, or wasn't he at a Tim McGraw concert?
Which
is the bigger concern?
Thank you.
It's the story that hasn't been talked about.
Thank you so much. Finally, someone. I said this. I've been saying this all week. I tweeted it out. I did it. Okay. Underage drinking. I'm not condoning it.
Don't condone it.
I'm not condoning it at all. It is not. It's not something I want people to do. Okay. But kids do it. Travis Wilson is a kid. He basically just proved that he is a normal kid. I'm not saying it's a good thing, not saying it's a bad thing, but honestly, there are worse crimes that are committed every single day by athletes, both college and professional, all over the country, all over the world. So that's not my big concern. My biggest concern, and you said it so eloquently and perfectly, was that he's at a Tim McGraw concert.
Now, whoa, hold up. That wasn't my bigger concern. That's the problem. Now we're getting off on a rocky start this morning.
All right.
I don't mind Tim McGraw apparently as much as you do. First of all, he's the son of Tug McGraw. And if your dad's named Tug, you know you're going to be tough. Do you know the story of Tim and Tug McGraw?
I don't.
Do some research before you disrespect Tim McGraw, man. Do some research. Get the assistants on it. Do some research. Tim McGraw is a man's man. He lives where the green grass grows, and he went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing. 3.2 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
Let's hear you sing it.
No, that's all you get, man. That's all you get. You got to pay extra for that.
We'll get producer Milo to do some research and give me the cliff notes.
Yeah, I mean he's not number one on my list, but he's not the worst.
Who is
person
number
I've
one
ever...
on your list?
Wow, there is no number one. It's like a combination pack of whatever my mood feels like. Lately, it's been a lot of Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry, you can't go wrong with Chuck Berry.
Really has.
You really can't.
And Chuck Berry's been on my mind a lot lately, especially because he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's frustrating and disrespectful to riding around in my automobile. I mean, and that comes on Everyone Just Grooves.
Oh yeah, and everyone knows it too, right?
And it's part of Back to the Future too.
Exactly. Well, that's how I knew
That's my
it.
favorite
I'm not
part.
gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, Tim McGraw, and we're joking around, but I'm kind of serious, like because it's not that I dislike Tim McGraw. I'm not a Tim McGraw fan,
Right.
but I mean, the team's just got to raise him for that, right? I mean, I can't imagine there are a lot of Tim McGraw fans in the locker room at the University of Utah or any college locker room in the country.
Well, with Jake Murphy gone, he's losing people. But there's probably some Tim McGraw fans
think
up
so?
there. I mean, I'm sure Coach Whittingham likes Tim McGraw.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
That's all you need.
course,
That's
right.
all you care about, that
That's all that
connection.
matters,
I want to
right?
be
Yeah.
the starter. I mean, seriously, though, it's a serious issue. We're kind of joking around. But there's a couple things. Look, we were pretty hard on Jamal Williams down there at BYU, and that Bronco wasn't going to suspend him because he came and told him honestly, and we called for we thought he should be suspended.
Right.
I mean, not only did he break the honor code, but he broke the law, which is against, as far as I'm aware of, every kind of policy that a university has. You
Sure,
can't break
sure.
the law. Okay, sure. We're not going to suspend you for a minor speeding ticket. But, being drunk in public, it's a problem not only if you're a football player, but also if you're a student, and
Right.
you're behaving in a way that makes it obvious that you're drunk. That's not the kind of representation any university would want, especially not from your starting quarterback, possible captain this year. I mean, this could
Right,
affect
right.
his whether or not he's a captain of this football team. Another thing that popped into my head when I heard this is, given all the talk, and you're right. Kids are going to be kids. 20-year-olds are going to drink. They're going to do dumb
Right.
things. I'm not going to, I don't find it wrong or anything like that he was doing it. I find it foolish that he would go out to a public venue, given his status and how tall he is.
Right.
And you're not going to mistake him for just no one. Sometimes cops like to pick on people who are, have notoriety that they want. And now
Sure.
that cop's getting interviewed and he's getting, as much pub, if you will, as Travis Wilson is. The thing that really popped into my brain when I heard this story was, given last year and all the talk about how he had a significant head injury
Right.
/ brain injury, my thing was, man, you obviously got somewhat lucky because you came back from that. You're allowed to play football.
Yeah,
Why?
that's lucky, man. I mean, that was
Why
a bad
add
injury.
alcohol to the mix? Anything can
Well,
happen. You could get hurt.
Look, he's a kid, and when this happened down in Provo, I said the same thing. He just proved that he's a normal kid. All right. Again, I'm not advocating it. It is against the law. It is dangerous, but kids do it. Okay. I want to make sure everyone understands. I'm not advocating this. Okay. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that it's going to happen. Kids are going to do it. And it's not the worst thing in the world, especially when you compare it to other stuff that happens around the country with athletes. But I agree 100%. I think he should be suspended. Just like I thought, same thing down at Provo. The only thing at BYU, the only difference is that there's an additional honor code on top of, the regular rule of law. And so, you break the law, you get in trouble. But then when you add the honor code on it, then you have to dole out additional punishment, right?
You would think.
I mean, you would think so. That's what I would think. But I definitely think Witt should suspend him for sure.
How many games do you think?
Um,
Or even if a game? If you're Johnny Manziel, you get a half. You're suspended
Right.
for the first half for signing
And-
autographs.
right. And
So, I mean,
ridiculous.
that's
But
on the option. It's an
honestly,
option.
I've heard a lot of people talking. He shouldn't be suspended. There'd probably be, some in-house sanctions, stuff like that. But I really do think he should be suspended because, like you said, it represents the university and it puts it in a poor light. It's a bad representation of the football team and in the program in general. And so, it definitely at least a game.
Well, another thing you think about, kids will be kids. Kids will make mistakes. Kids are going to hopefully learn from those mistakes. But my question to you is, look, he's not a freshman, okay?
Right.
This isn't a simple 18-year-old, I'm finally at college by myself. My parents live in California. Yeah. He's been here, 3-4 years now? This is more than just a simple 18-year-old mistake. And secondly, when we had quarterbacks who ran the team, who were team captains, such as names that come to mind, Alex Smith, Brian Johnson. You didn't see ever them getting pinched for drinking a little booze during a Tim McGraw concert.
Right.
And it speaks to his maturity. Do we want him to be captain? Is he capable? To me, it goes beyond just making a mistake as a kid. I'm not begrudging him. I'm not judging him. I've done it. Maybe you've done it. Maybe lots of viewers and listeners have had a similar experience. The difference is when you want to be the leader of a football team who struggled last year, you're coming off an injury, and you want to take them to a bowl game and maybe have a special season. This isn't the type of thing you do 2 weeks before camp starts.
I agree.
And so
I totally agree. I mean, if this was downtime, complete downtime, not a busy time, not a position where you are competing for your starting job, which he very much is, then it would be a different story. But this is kind of crunch time. I mean, he should be focused. I don't want to read too much into it, but maybe it is telling you a little something that, maybe he didn't take his injury seriously, his rehab. I mean, maybe it means that he's not super passionate about winning that starting job. I mean, like I said, I don't want to read too much into it, but it's easy to do that. It's easy to read a lot into it because it's a lot of questions are coming up here.
For me, it's a simple thing. A lot of his questions on the field, a lot of his decision-making on the field has been questioned, and now there's just one more decision that I have to question off the field.
Right.
And, when you do things off the field, people, and especially if he struggles early on, I mean, this is opened for him personally, as well as for the coaching staff, as well as for the rest of the players. What is Travis doing? If he struggles early, this is going to become a renewed subject, if you will, of interest. And it's really doing your teammates, coach, and yourself a disservice.
Definitely.
Come August 28th, he better put it up, or there's going to be a lot of hard questions. And I don't think Kendall Thompson's too far behind him as far as the starting quarterback position at the University of Utah.
I agree. And originally, I thought that they're saying all the right things, that anyone can lose their job at any time. But I really thought that Travis Wilson, it was his job. But now I'm not so sure. Camp's coming up. Kendall Thompson, a lot of people want to see what he can do. A lot of people. So there's pressure that way. Plus, you add on the pressure for Whittingham to win and actually get to a bowl game. This is probably the biggest year of his career, to prove if he can still have a job at the University of Utah. You put all that together, I think this is a competition, and I wonder if an incident like this, getting in trouble with Johnny Law, is that going to hurt his chances at becoming the University of Utah starting quarterback?
For me, I think it does.
It's got to, right?
It puts it in jeopardy. I mean, I agree. I think no matter what Kendall Thompson did when he got here through camp, Travis Wilson week 1 was going to be the starter. But now, if I'm the coach, I say, well, you made a poor decision, and maybe I'm going to open that up. Maybe I won't suspend you, but I'll open it up. And can you outperform Kendall Thompson during 3-4 grueling weeks of camp? I'm not so sure he can. And look, and let's be honest, like you just stated, it's possible, we don't know yet, but it's possible that Kyle Whittingham's job could be on the line. He's going to pull out every stop he has to try to win and try to get the Utes back to a bowl game. Whether that's running quarterback, option quarterback, running 100 times just through your running back, throwing screens 50 times a game, doing weird things, onside kicks when you're up by 35 points. He's going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's got to. He has to. I mean, this is super. I mean, I can't overstate it enough. I think, honestly, if I was Chris Hill, this would be Kyle Whittingham's last season if he doesn't get to a bowl game.
If I'm pulling the trigger, absolutely.
I mean, I think that he's probably got a little bit longer of a leash. I think he's got another year. If he doesn't perform. But if it was my decision, and honestly, I'm basing this mostly on the mismanagement of the offense. We have talked about this, especially me. I've been harping on this for a long time, and I've been very adamant about this. I just don't understand. It's baffling to me how a head coach can so consistently have a terrible offense. And I understand there have been some bad breaks. There have been some injuries, guys leaving. But this is more than just having injuries to your quarterbacks. This is more than just having, issues with your coordinators going to bigger and better jobs or getting demoted or whatever. I mean, he had co-coordinators. He had, it's just ridiculous. He had big names come in. Norm Chow, Dennis Erickson. They nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. It's a thing that is built into the culture right now, and it's terrifying to me as a Ute fan.
Do you think it's an issue of they're so nervous that they're going to fail that they can't succeed
I don't think
on
so.
offense? You don't think so?
Well, who?
I mean, I think
Who's they?
I'd say
The coordinators?
maybe. I don't know. It might be a systematic feeling that they feel like they have to perform so well because of the past, inadequate performances that the pressure is just too much.
Like an Andy Ludwig thing where they overthink it?
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes I wonder when I watch the Utes, no matter who's calling the plays over the last few years, is, oh my gosh, Kelvin York's running off 5-yard plays every time he touches the ball.
Right.
Oh, wait, I haven't seen Kelvin York run the ball in the last 2.5 quarters.
Right.
Oh, I mean,
I know what you're
things
saying.
like that. Where
I know what you're saying. Where they're kind of panicking instead of just getting back to basics. Let's pound the ball up the middle. Let's do let's give it to our running back. They're trying to overthink it. Now we got to go big. I know what you're saying. I don't think so because I think some of the coordinators that they've had up there have been great seasoned coaches. Norm Chow, there's no excuse, even with the poor quarterback that he had, there's no excuse for that offense to be that horrible when Norm Chow was there. Him being there alone should have bumped up the production.
So you don't put anything into the talent level of the players. I mean,
I definitely do. No,
our offensive line has really struggled the last few years.
You're absolutely right, but that comes from the top. I mean, you're not recruiting the players, and if you are recruiting the right players, you're not getting them ready. You're not preparing them like you should, and that's a systematic thing coming right from the top. And so this is why I put a lot of blame on Kyle Whittingham. I've got a lot of flack for being so hard on him for this. Defensively, he's great, but it helps to have Kalani Sitake for sure. But Witt is a defensive guy. I really don't think he understands the offense. I think in his mind, at least in past years, he's thought, it's easier. It's an easier thing to understand the offense than the defense. And so I don't think he's put much emphasis on it. I think he's starting to come to the realization that it's not accurate, not a good way to approach it. But I think that's how he's been very lax about it, and that's a big problem. Discipline has always been a problem on the Kyle Whittingham teams ever since he took over.
That's true. I mean, and something that maybe, and I'll get your opinion here, speak to the culture or the struggling culture or the lack of culture is Harvey Langi. Has officially transferred, as what I read today.
What a
it's
saga
done.
That was.
He's gone to BYU. Star recruit out of Bingham High here in locally. Goes up to the U, goes on a mission, comes back and says he wants to live his life in a different way, and he feels he can do that best at Brigham Young University. How do you feel about that? I know there was, when it happened early July, mid-June. Coach Whittingham said he probably wasn't going to let him out of it, his scholarship, because, Harvey demanded that they hold a scholarship for him while he was on his mission. And it kind of, started not only a Twitter war between BYU and Utah fans, but also just verbal sparring, whether it be sports editorials or whatnot. Where do you come down on that issue now that Mr. Langi is going to be wearing, most likely, the white and blue of BYU?
Well, okay, so I think this is a kind of a sticky situation that Harvey kind of created for himself because he said he wanted to go to BYU. It's the right environment to help him be the kind of person he wants to be, and if that's the case, that's great, and more power to him, and he should go there. But I really kind of question his motives because he was all over the place. One second he was definitely transferring. Next second he was planning on staying. Then he decided he's going to go to Stanford or wherever, go to some other schools. And I think if his motivation was really to be a better person and be the best person he can be, and he can only do that at BYU, then why was he all over the place and where he wanted to go and where he wanted to play? I
mean, I think that's a great point. You make the decision. If you make a decision, you stick with it if it's the right decision for you. Another thing that I think is important that seems to be overlooked in this whole debate is, you know what? You don't have to play football. You could just go to BYU and sit out a year.
Exactly.
I mean, you're asking a lot from a team who held a scholarship for you at your request. So for me, I kind of understand where Kyle Whittingham's coming from.
Sure.
I mean, this is a guy you recruited. This is a guy who played when he first got on the Hill. I mean, he's seen playing time. Sure, albeit not a lot.
Right.
But he's had opportunities. And, you feel betrayed. And you're going to BYU. And if it's that important to you, then just sit out a year.
Yeah, but at some point, don't you got to suck it up, though? Suck up your pride. Like, I understand that. Like, it was kind of an abrupt thing where he just kind of decided, it was sudden to wit, and his knee-jerk reaction was, we're not going to let him out of his scholarship, and we're not going to let him transfer. But at some point, don't you say, all right, I understand he wants to go to BYU, but he's not playing. He's not really on our depth chart, and he's taking up a scholarship. I mean, isn't there a point where you say, let's just let him go. Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's get a better player in here.
Well, I mean, it is damaging to your program. I'm not sure if it's just a pride issue.
What do you mean? How so?
Well, you haven't had a scholarship for the last 2 years and now for the third year. You can't just fill it overnight. I mean, you can give it to a walk-on, but you can't fill it with a recruit overnight. You have to wait till next year.
Good point.
I mean, it's more than just a pride issue. It's also, if I understand correctly, how this all went down is he had his mission president call Coach Whittingham. I mean, there's a lot of ways where he could have handled the situation better. I think, from all accounts, and we've been at quite a few press conferences, up at the U and just not really spoken to Kyle Whittingham, but been around him in the way he talks and works with the guys. I think a big issue is, be up front, come talk to me and deal with it, man to man, person to person. And having someone else call to relay that message was obviously the opening mistake that got Coach Whittingham, knocked off his rocker a little bit.
Sure.
Like, why couldn't Harvey just come and tell me this?
Straight up with him.
Yeah. Why? What are you so afraid of? I'm not going to attack you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that got him going a little bit. And then, of course, the school that he was possibly going to and ended up going to, BYU, I mean, that's a problem. Whether you like it or not, we're not playing. I mean, we're not playing him. But when you hold a scholarship now for what will be 3 years and you lose it to BYU, it's frustrating. And so I'm not so much sure if it's a pride issue as it is. You can't just let people walk in and out and walk all over your program.
Transfers happen all the time, though. And I think you're absolutely right. It was the way he handled it. He handled this so terribly, and his family handled this so terribly. Everyone's talking to the media. Everyone's saying one thing, and then he's saying another. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. And I totally understand why, it left a bad taste in Witt's mouth, and honestly, in all Ute fans' mouths. And I can understand if BYU fans are a little sketchy about it. I mean, obviously they want to get him. It's a big win to get a Ute recruit, especially someone who's so highly recruited. But he handled it so terribly. It was a disaster.
But, I mean, let's be honest, too. Coaches can put, qualifications, if you will, on transfers.
Right,
I mean,
they can.
You could, if Nick Saban, I'm not sure if he wants one of his better recruits to go to Auburn.
Right.
You can transfer anywhere but Auburn or anywhere not in the SEC. It's good in one sense that we're not playing BYU head-to-head for a couple years. So I don't even know if we'll see Harvey Langi in a BYU uniform against the Utes. I don't think we will.
Oh, we probably won't. I would agree with that. I mean, but and then we'll get off this because we're running a little short on time. But what do you think? Do you think he's going to have an impact at BYU?
If he wasn't on the depth chart at the U, they got a lot better running back down there than we currently have, a more proven player in Jamal Williams. I'm not sure if he sees the field much more unless he changes positions.
And that's the thing. This is the other thing I don't understand. He did want to do it. He wanted to be on the defensive side of the ball.
No, he didn't.
No, he did, and they wanted him to be running back, and he wanted to play defense.
I think it was the exact opposite of that.
I don't think so.
I think so.
We'll have to get Milo on this.
Milo needs to get to work.
I'm pretty sure because I was like, man, not many people want to go to the defensive side. Huh. I think I got you beat here, man.
Okay.
We'll have to check on that. But either way, I mean, he's got a lot to prove. He handled this terribly. It doesn't look good for him.
But I wish him well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, if he's trying to be a better man, and this is a step that he has to take, a difficult step, especially, having to tell your teammates and your coach that I want to go to your rival. It's a brave thing to do. If that's really what you want to do, you're trying to better yourself, and it's a difficult obstacle to get there, then honestly, it's kind of a courageous move. He handled this as poorly as you possibly could.
Absolutely.
I mean, transfers happen all the time, and it's not this big disaster like this.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he gets on the field. I wish him luck. Have fun in Provo, buddy.
We want to know what you think. Leave us a rating or review in iTunes. Just search for Dog and Deuce in the iTunes store.
Check us out on iTunes. That's a great place. If you are interested in just hearing the audio feed, it's a great place to get that. You can download it. You can subscribe to the show. Also, leave ratings and reviews. That really helps us out. And, of course, people who are watching us on television on K-Powder TV, we really love having you. This is our third episode, I think, on K-Powder, and we're really happy to be here. We also put all our shows up on YouTube after the fact. Go to doganddeuce.com, and you can check out all the places to find us. There's a lot of places to find us, man. Let's move on to the Stephen A. Smith debacle.
Oh, boy.
This guy.
Set the table.
And I understand that there aren't a lot of Stephen A. Smith fans here in Utah. In fact, I'm not sure there are a lot of Stephen A. Smith fans anywhere. I've never heard.
Maybe Philadelphia.
Maybe Philadelphia. And maybe, is it one of those things where they keep him on the air because he gets ratings because people love to hate him, and so they watch him just to pick him apart?
I mean, look, he's opinionated. He'll say what he wants. He's a good kind of contrast to Skip Bayless for obvious reasons.
Definitely.
You know, I mean, Skip's kind of more quiet in a way. And
that's saying something.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, they play off each other real well. And this isn't the first time. Set the table. What did he say? What got caught in his brain that would make him think this was okay?
It's unbelievable to me. So basically, the whole Ray Rice situation, he knocked out his girlfriend in an elevator and only got a 2-game suspension.
Knocked out his fiance, married her because he was hoping that would maybe provide some marital privilege, which it doesn't. And only got 2-game suspension. Right. And I'll tell you what, they must have some serious. I think it was in Atlantic City where that happened. And I think it was in a casino in New Jersey. They must have some serious Baltimore Raven fans in that DA's office, because you could see that footage of Ray Rice.
It's some of the craziest footage I've ever seen.
Right. And not give him something more than deferment to anger management or whatever. I'm not saying jail time, maybe a couple days, something seriously. I mean, at some point, the precedent needs to be set that we don't let.
I'm sorry.
Even if you're a famous athlete, you don't get away with crimes.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. And especially a crime like this. I mean, to me, this is just despicable what he did. Just despicable. And
allegedly.
Allegedly did. Okay, allegedly. I definitely think jail time should be mandatory for this kind of thing. It's unexcusable.
Right.
Inexcusable, excuse me. And so Stephen A. Smith gets on the air, and he tried to dress up his opinion, but his opinion is it was just disgusting. He basically said, and I'm going to butcher this, so bear with me, but he basically said, it's never okay to hit a woman, but there's always the big but. We need to figure out how we can get these women to not provoke these men.
Right.
Essentially what he said. He dressed it up because he knew what he was saying was wrong.
Like, in the moment, he was like, uh-oh, that didn't come out
exactly.
right.
And so he tried to dress it up, and it got to the point where he was just going and going and going just to hear himself talk, partly, and to try and cover it up. But basically, his bottom line was the women also need to not provoke the men. Otherwise, I mean, he didn't say this, but what I took from it was that he's basically saying, otherwise, they're going to get hit. And it's kind of just almost their fault.
Right. I mean, look, I'm Stephen A. Smith. I don't know how smart he is. He seems like a fairly smart guy.
He's an intelligent guy, for sure.
This was obviously a huge blunder, one that I don't think personally 1 week off the air.
Yeah, he got suspended for 1 week.
Off of First Take and off ESPN
he should be
radio.
Fired.
Yeah, I mean, people have been fired for a lot less.
A lot less.
That's for sure. The problem lies in the fact that I don't even care if, what he was saying was wrong, but it almost like he's letting Ray Rice off
That's
the
the
hook.
problem.
That's what bothers me the most. And
Yep.
because he says, he should get more than 2 games, but if his fiance didn't provoke him,
Right.
he wouldn't have gotten
Exactly.
2 games.
Exactly.
Like, look, man, life's bigger than the NFL. It's bigger than Ray Rice, and it's bigger than football. And when people screw up in a way, especially violent way, look, Stephen A. Smith, look, Ray Rice, you have a lot to do to make up for this. People look up to you, young kids in urban cities or suburban areas.
Right.
And when they see you carrying your unconscious fiance out of an elevator via domestic violence because she's unconscious from something you did to her, not everyone has the ability, either via age or some other reasons, to decipher that that's not okay. They might not have a parent in their life who tells them, we don't do that.
Right.
You need to realize and really, get in the community and make it right. I don't know if it'll ever be right. A lot of people might never forgive you. I might be one of those people. But you need to do something to let me know. And it's more than just serving 2-game suspension. It's got to be from here forward till the day you die,
Right.
to make up for this sort of thing. Because, man, people look up to you, and your actions have great impact on them. And right now, they're greatly negatively impacting these children.
I agree with everything you said except for one thing. When you said that you're not sure if people will forgive him. People have already forgiven. This is a fundamental problem in sports right now, and it really bothers me. We have talked about this. When this thing came out with Ray Rice, we hit on this really, really hard. There is some fundamental, I don't even know what to call it. It's in the zeitgeist that these athletes, and actually people in general are just, or men in general are almost above women somehow. And it's not necessarily, people don't come outright and say it, but the fact that I hear on sports radio caller after caller after caller trying to defend Ray Rice, saying, well, we don't know exactly what happened, so we're not sure, we're not sure what she did. And honestly, what Stephen A. Smith said has been echoed by hundreds and thousands of callers on sports radio and pundits all over the place. He's not the first person to say this.
That's true.
And it's disgusting to me because you should never, ever strike anyone, but you especially shouldn't strike women or children. And
Absolutely.
There's never, ever a point where it's okay to do that. I don't care what they do. Off air, you and I were talking about this, and you brought up a great point. It was the whole Beyonce's sister beating the crap out of Jay-Z. And
Right.
Jay-Z, he wanted to take her out. He wanted to beat her up.
Yeah.
Just kick the crap out of her, but he didn't.
Right.
He
It did-
didn't because he knows it's not okay to do that.
Right.
I'm sorry, you are more physically powerful, and you could do so much more damage than she's going to do to you.
And what could she have possibly be doing to you that would really made you fear for your life? Did she have a gun? Did she have a knife? Nope, I don't think she did. So what possible real fear could Ray Rice have been encountering?
Right. Well, and I don't think it's necessarily fear as much
Well,
as
I mean,
I'm sure she
that's
said
the only
something.
time that sort of thing is in play, when you fear for your life.
I understand. I know what you're saying, but look, there have been times when I've been so angry with females, like ex-girlfriends and whatnot, that I wanted really bad, but to hit them, but I never would. And I'm sure it was a similar situation where she did something that really got his blood boiling, and he just got so angry, and it was probably just a knee-jerk response type thing is what I'm guessing. But still, you've got to be man enough to not do that, to control that. Look, I've said some stupid things when I'm angry. I mean, ask my wife. I've said some really dumb things and done some dumb things, but never, ever, ever. I mean, when you feel that rush go to your head and your head gets warm and your fists clench up.
Whoa, man. Whoa.
Seriously, think about when you're really, really angry with someone.
Right, absolutely.
And your gut reaction, you just want to hit them, but you just don't. You have to be strong enough to do that. And if you're not strong enough to control yourself there, then what else is going on in your life?
Right.
Because that's a big tell in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, And it begs the question, is 2 games enough? I
No.
mean, you can
No.
get 4
God,
games
no.
for
God, no.
smoking marijuana in the NFL, but hitting your wife or your
Knocking
fiance
out, yeah.
only gets you 2. I mean, and the funny thing is, and I keep going back to this, Roger Goodell came in and said he was going to rule the league with an iron fist. And all I've seen is, he picks which players,
Right.
whether he it almost seems whether he likes them or not, whether the suspension they're going to get. And all any person wants in life, whether it's from the law of a judge in a district court or a commissioner or your boss, is consistency and fairness.
Definitely.
And I mean, I think most people would agree, even, if you don't want people smoking marijuana, it's probably less serious of an offense than beating your fiance.
Without a doubt. I'm sorry.
I think that's safe
without
to
a doubt.
say. Okay.
Because you're physically harming someone else, and you're physically harming someone who can't defend themselves as well. They're not even. It's not even close. I mean, especially an NFL player.
Right.
I mean, they are insanely
Finely tuned athlete.
Exactly. Even the offensive linemen, they might not be finely tuned, but they're huge.
Right.
And they will do some damage no matter who they're hitting.
Right.
So, yeah, when you're physically harming someone else, especially in the face of all the rule changes to stop the violence and stop people getting hurt, why are you just giving him a slap on the wrist for hurting someone who can't fight back? She's not on the field suiting up. She doesn't know the dangers coming along with the game. It's like she's playing in the heat of the moment. She's in an elevator with her fiance.
Right.
Give me a break. And she didn't. I'm sorry. This really gets me worked up.
I mean, she obviously, in that scenario, you should never fear for your safety when you're with, the man or woman you love in an elevator.
Definitely
It shouldn't
not.
be
Definitely not.
a situation where you fear for your safety. And, man, I'll tell you what, his now wife, I believe, is better at forgiving than me. And if I, was related to her in any way, Ray Rice would probably be kicking my ass because I might give it a go.
Without a doubt. And, we hope it's a one-time ththing. This, it's the first time it happened. But it's very scary because typically when you hear about this stuff, it's a pattern.
Right.
And we just really hope it was the heat of the moment, one-time thing, and she's not trapped in some abusive relationship. I'm not speculating. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
You're praying.
I'm praying. I am, because it's terrifying to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can't imagine feeling that powerless with someone that powerful. It's scary. So, we would absolutely love to hear what you have to say about it. Maybe you disagree with me. This is what I'm really passionate about. It really does get me worked up because it's someone who just can't defend themselves. It's like a child.
Right.
Or an animal. So, let us know what you think, though. We're on Twitter. You control don't control. Well, yeah, you rule it with an iron fist. The show Twitter account @DogandDeuce.
Hit me up. Let me know what you think of all the stupid things I say.
Yeah, you're trying to pick fights lately, but no one's biting, man.
No one's biting.
They're smarter than that.
Yeah, I gotta get my game back.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, you have to, man. We need that. We need to stir up some controversy. That's what gets ratings, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll say something dumb in the next week.
All right. If any local, I'm not going to mention any local media personalities or any guide. It doesn't matter if you're right as long as you provoke.
Yes, true.
Yeah. And then my Twitter account is @amartindalefilm. So give us a follow. Let us know what you think. Yeah, this is Dog and Deuce. We're on KPowder TV and dogandeuce.com. We're going to play a quick bumper, and we'll be right back.
Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Just search @Dog and Deuce.
Okay, let's move on. I want to talk a little about Real Salt Lake.
The boys in the claret and cobalt.
We had a discussion off air, I think, last week, and I was kind of doom and gloom.
You are. You're doom and gloom every
doom and
day
gloom,
I
man.
see you nowadays.
Oh, man, that's not a good thing.
I know. We're going to pick it up, though. You're going to get happy.
Pessimists live
And-
a lot shorter lives than
Yeah.
optimists.
Well, I'm in trouble, too, probably. Then. But we're going to get you back on track. We're going to get you back thinking that Real Salt Lake has a real chance. Tonight, 1-1 tie versus the New York Red Bull at the Riot. Could have been a win. Probably should have been a win. It was the return of Jamison Olave, and he grabbed Olmes Garcia. I don't know if you saw this in the nether regions.
Oh, didn't see
Olmes
it.
Garcia got a yellow card for flopping, even though his manhood was seriously being accosted.
Oh
You know, I mean,
Oh.
here's one of the times for all the things we complain about soccer and they're flopping and this and that. Here's one of the times where it's okay. When a man goes for your junk,
You oversell that as much as you can.
that's
I'm
one
sorry.
of those deals.
You should never be carded for that. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I mean, he did, and he played it up well. But that's one of those times where you just never know.
Dude, that's scary. That's scary.
You're gonna flail away. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
I would.
Yeah. So that was kind of the kind of killed the match vibe. They had a really good match going. Plata scored in about the 18th minute for Real Salt Lake, and then Thierry Henry came on in about the 58th minute and put one in the back of the net for the New York Red Bull. 1-1 tie, and they're in second place, 3 points shy, or ahead, I guess is a better terminology, of the third place team. And right now, that's good. Right now, we'll take that. Look.
Is it good, though? I mean, this team started off so hot. I mean, they started off hotter than any Jason Christ team has that I can remember off the top of my head. And so, hopes were really high for Jeff Cassar coming in here. Then they go on the slide they always go on every single year. They start, they go through a rough patch. Let's put it that way. And my question was if Jeff Cassar can pull it out. And I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous.
Look, they've played 3 more games. That's the big issue. LA Galaxy sitting in third place and the Colorado Rapids sitting in fourth. They've played 3 more games in the Galaxy. 3 games in hand could be a good or bad thing with the Galaxy on their heels, if you will. I think it's probably more of a bad thing right now. They need to go out and get some wins. Ties are not – we'll take it. It's better than no points.
A loss, right?
Yeah, better than no points. But they needed a win tonight, and they're going to need wins coming up and string a few of them together and then get a tie and then start a winning streak again. Next up for them is Saturday, August 2nd on the road. Going to be playing the Colorado Rapids, or as you passionately refer to them as the Crapids.
The Crapids. And, the viewers out there, when you see this, these may be in the books, so we may be looking really stupid.
Or really smart.
Or really smart, exactly. So, the Crapids, I mean, it's a rivalry game, always a toss-up.
Rocky Mountain Cup up for grabs.
It is.
And you know what? Here's where they come back. They're going to get 3 points. Mark my word, 3-0.
So you think this is the spark that's going to get us there?
Sometimes you need your rival to come in and try to push you around to make you get back on track. I think the Rapids are going to do it, and Real's going to respond. I see a goal from Plata, Garcia, and here's the kicker, Ned Grabavoy.
Wow. So 3-0.
3-0.
3-0.
3-0. RSL.
The Crapids aren't even going to give them that push.
No.
RSL's just going to go into
they're going
their
to try.
home.
They're going to try the intimidation, the fouling.
The crap they always pull.
Yep.
Right.
It's not going to work. It's just going to make Plata
right, man.
and Olms, and Ned Grabavoy angry.
I really hope you're right, man.
I will be.
Because that would be a great spark, because then the next 3 games are at home, which in that homestead ends with Seattle, which is really tough. So we need a spark right now.
But the thing is, it looks like that could be a game that fans are fearful of. But depending on how it goes in Denver, and then back against the DC United, and then for a friendly versus, I think it's Club Tijuana. I think they're called the Cholos, I think, if I remember.
Really?
I think there's something like that.
Interesting.
It's a really weird name that I'm not familiar with, so maybe I shouldn't quote myself. Who knows where they could be in the next 3 matches. If they get 2 wins back-to-back versus DC and Colorado, they'll be in a good spot heading into that Seattle match with a little more confidence.
Well,
and they play them tough. We play them tough.
True. And in RSL, honestly, they always have been, but they're very streaky. They'll go on these great winning streaks. To start the year, I mean, it was amazing. It was fun. They didn't lose. I don't even know how many games they went without losing. And then they'll go through these slides. Well, they may get a couple points here and there, but they struggle. And this is our mid-season slump. We do it every year. And my biggest concern was that, Jason Christ, we've seen him. We know what he can do. We know he's going to get this team out of the slump. Jeff Cassar is unproven, and so we don't know if he can do that. Although this team really has character built into it. I mean, this has been proven with the brand new head coach, a brand new regime. I mean, and this team is basically, they're playing by the numbers, how they always do, only it's elevated a little bit.
And I mean, I think you also got to take into account Kassar has done I'd say a B+, A- job in his first year. They're in second place in the Western Conference. You know, Raimondo and Beckerman took a month off. Saborio was about to take a month off and then got hurt in training camp for Costa Rica. There's been some injuries that the team's fought through. To be second place, 21 games in, isn't bad given all they've had to endure. And, hopefully, I mean, the key with any sport is to be peaking while you're hitting the playoffs. And right now is a time where RSL really needs to build some momentum, get some points under their belt via wins, and start, playing their best come August, September, October into the playoffs, and hopefully again, go into the MLS Cup and pulling one out.
Oh man, I hope we can do it.
Yeah, you're nervous.
I am nervous.
How could a man who wears an Apocalypse Radio shirt be nervous?
Because, man, Brandon Steinekert, the probably the best known Real Salt Lake fan, also the drummer of Rancid, and the drummer
and a guest of this show,
and a friend of the show, I will add. He's got another local band called Apocalypse Radio. I'm wearing their shirt right now. He's not playing for the team. If he was playing for the team, no doubts in my mind.
I see.
None.
I see.
None.
Okay.
And if
Fair
Raimondo
enough.
could play every position, I'd have no worries. Okay, split it up between Raimondo and Beckerman.
Okay.
Maybe throwing some Grabavoy there.
Yeah. What about Saborio?
Well, okay, I can't forget.
What about Javier Morales?
Man,
They're strong. We're a strong team.
It is a strong group.
Find your faith again
Right.
in the Claret and Cobalt.
Just wish we had Johnny Steele. He was a little firecracker coming in off the bench.
True.
Miss that
Johnny.
guy.
Miss you, Johnny.
This is Dog and Deuce. Check us out, dogandeuce.com, and watch us on K-Powder TV, channels 19.1, 19.2 over the air. We are on all weekend long, distributed between those two channels, so definitely check us out. Dog and Deuce, you can find our YouTube page, everything, iTunes, Twitter, all that good stuff. We always invite you to call or text our voicemail and text line. That's 801-477-7678. 801-47-SPORT. Makes it a little bit easier for you, so you don't have to remember all those numbers. We're going to play a quick bumper, and we'll be right back.
What do you think? Call or text the D&D voicemail and text line at 801-47-SPORT and tell us what's on your mind.
Okay, let's move back to the NBA to close out the show. The Lakers, your favorite team.
Yeah,
Obviously.
Absolutely. Yellow bottle.
Yellow bottle, huh?
Yeah, you would never mind.
You lost me there, buddy.
I mean, the coolest thing about the Lakers, and I've said it a million times, is originally they're the only team
Right.
that didn't have a white jersey.
At home.
Yeah, that's cool.
At all, yeah.
Yeah, at all.
And then they did go to the white jersey for a bit.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the same.
Right. And there's just some traditions that should remain unbroken.
Pinstripes for the Yankees, and I don't like the
Masters in April,
Right.
a tradition unlike any other, says Jim Nance.
It's a Jim Nance. Former local guy,
yeah,
by the way.
Absolutely. So, I mean, just stick with the purple and yellow. And now, leading your team, you could have had Phil Jackson last year, chose to go with Mike D'Antoni. So this year you bring in Byron Scott. What do you think?
Well, I think you could have had George Karl, and anyone who has ever paid attention, even in the smallest bit, to this show knows I am like the biggest George Karl fan.
You might be.
He is he's incredible. What he was able to do with the Denver Nugget team that really didn't even have a roster to compete in the D League was incredible. The guy can coach. Could have had George Karl.
True.
You could have had a lot of guys, actually.
Yeah.
Lionel Hollins. I mean, the Laker job has been open for a while.
Yeah, they took a really weird run at how to hiring a head coach, and the last few hires haven't been successful in LA. But this year, the family chose to wait till after the draft, and pretty much,
which is strange. It's
very strange. And by all reports, for the last 3 to 4 weeks before they hired Mr. Scott, as I like to refer to him, he was the front runner. He was the one that they knew they were going to choose.
Right.
And yet they still didn't. I don't know. And maybe I just haven't ran a big enough business. But if Mark Cuban wants to give me a chance, I'm available.
Oh, he hasn't called you yet?
No.
I turned him down a couple times.
Oh, man,
yeah.
dang. It must be the Apocalypse Radio show.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, man.
I don't know why you don't get your coaching staff in place before the draft so he can have input on a team that he's going to coach. Although he did do the smart thing, 4 years, $17 million, at least he's going to get paid. I don't think Byron Scott is that bad of a coach.
I agree. In fact,
Nets did a good job with the Nets, did a good job with the Hornets.
Did a great job with
Karl
the Hornets.
Malone's not a big fan of him. You know?
Very true. Well, Karl Malone's not a big fan of a lot of people.
That's true.
Let's put it that way. Rasheed Wallace, Isaiah Thomas.
Us.
This goes on and on. Us. Yeah, he probably hates us. No, and I agree. My opening comments may have sounded like I didn't like the hire. I think there are better options out there, definitely. But Byron Scott is a proven coach, and he's been good. He's shown results. Like you said, New Jersey, I mean, the Hornets, I know he had Chris Paul, but that was an up-and-coming team, and he really turned them into competitors.
Right.
He did a great job with them.
I mean, he struggled a little bit in Cleveland, but who doesn't if they don't have LeBron?
Look, Cleveland is yeah, if it wasn't for LeBron, there'd be no excuse to ever win in Cleveland.
Right.
So I agree with you. So I like the hire. I really do like the hire. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, how the dynamic with Kobe and all this stuff and all the drama that goes along with that.
I mean, it's crazy to think about. Do you realize that he was Kobe Bryant's mentor? He was still playing for the Lakers when Kobe Bryant came into the league.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He played one year, Kobe Bryant's rookie year. And they have, by all accounts, a really good relationship. Kobe signed off on the deal.
Of course he did.
And really, yeah, until he leaves, that's all that matters.
Right.
You're not going to get Phil Jackson now. You screwed that one up. You better make sure Kobe Bryant likes a lot the coach who he's going to see for at least 82 games next year.
If not, and you end up hiring him anyway, he's going to run him out of town.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Kobe does.
I mean, he did it to Mike D'Antoni. He did it to Mike Brown.
He did it to Shaq.
He did it to Shaquille O'Neal.
O'Neal.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
me? I
me?
mean, it's going to be an interesting season in Lakerland with all the, Gasol leaving.
Right.
Julius Randle becoming part of that squad. I'm kind of excited for this year, and not necessarily, although I'll watch the Jazz and keep up on them, but I'm really interested to see how the NBA plays out with Gasol in Chicago.
Right.
Derrick Rose coming back from another injury. He's trying to make Team USA this week down in Vegas. What Cleveland will look like. What will Houston look like without Chandler Parsons? And where will the Lakers fit into all of this? Is it Oklahoma City's year, or are the Spurs going to keep trucking? There's so many questions I have heading into October that really I don't know that I've been this excited for an NBA season in a while.
It's fun. And, I mean, even the Jazz, they have some excitement. Honestly, I don't expect the team to be competitive. I expect them to be right around where they were last year, maybe a little worse. I know it's not the popular theory right now. But I truly believe that. I don't think they're going to be very good. But you got a lot of young talent. You got a brand new coach. It's almost like, you're a little kid looking at the Christmas tree and looking at all the presents. They could be anything. Grandma's is going to be a sweater.
Right.
And it's going to suck. And you're going to have to wear it every time you go to her house.
Right.
But those other they could be anything.
You could have the G.I. Joe set.
Yeah, you could have you could have a new skateboard.
Right. I mean, it is, and you're right. I think that's a really good point, and maybe I didn't mean to just brush over that. With Quin Snyder coming in for the Jazz, and Favors and Burke and Burks and Gordon Hayward just being re-signed, and Dante Exum, coming into the fold as well. There's a lot of question marks, but it's going to be interesting to see if these guys can grow together and put a better record together than they did last year under Tyrone Corbin. I think we're gonna see a lot different offense,
which is good.
It'll have to be for the players they have, which means Cantor and Favors. I'm not so sure one of them doesn't find another home midway through next season when in February when the draft comes or trade deadline comes around.
I would agree 100%, especially because. This Gordon Hayward deal, we've talked about this. It's really damaging to what you can do in the future. And so these guys aren't going to be around a lot longer, unfortunately. Right. I mean, you really kind of painted yourself into a corner here. When you're going to try and re-sign this young talent that you worked so hard to put together, for the future. Well, now there's not going to be all that money to put, to get it all together. And so it's really sad. We're going to definitely say goodbye to some of these guys in a couple years. But I am excited to see what can happen. I'm not expecting much, but man, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they just just go take the NBA by storm, man.
I know it's only July, but just preliminarily, and you haven't looked at the schedule or anything like that, what are you thinking is going to be the win total of the Utah Jazz?
What do we have this year?
I think like 25.
25. Honestly, I would guess probably around 20 wins.
Yeah.
And I know
that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. It really is.
For those fans.
But I think this will be a far more productive 20-win season.
Right.
If that makes any sense. With
even
Tyrone
possible.
Corbin, you kind of got the sense that we're going to go out there, we're going to play terrible, and we're not going to progress any. We're going to play the veterans who we know we're going to be gone next year and not trying to develop our young guys. So there wasn't much hope. I think with Quin Snyder, he's so good at player development. That's kind of what he's hanging his hat on. That I think it's gonna pay off in the long run. I think put your work in now. Pay your dues, and then you'll see the fruits of your labor later on. I think that's what we're gonna see.
And I mean, really, the positions that he's good at coaching are the ones that the Jazz sort of, minus Cantor and Favors, and Karl Malone's help with him and them in the offseason.
Yeah.
Are the guards and wing players.
Right.
And those are really, in today's game, the players that need development and kind of take over the game and lead teams to championships or conference titles. And right now, whether it's Gordon Hayward, Alec Burks, or Trey Burke, and Dante Exum coming in, those guys need some help, and they need to grow a little faster. I'm willing to wait, but we need to see some progress that they can hang their hat on and say, okay, next year we're moving on to this.
Definitely.
I'm hoping Quin Snyder can do that.
We're going to hit this so hard in upcoming weeks and months. I do think it'll be a fun season, though. I really do. It'll be tough. Wins won't come yet, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be productive. This is Dog and Deuce. It's been Dog and Deuce on K-Powder TV, channels 19.1, 19.2 over the air. We're also on YouTube. We just got our new YouTube station up and going, so that's good. And as always, Twitter, you're at Dog and Deuce. I am at A Martindale Film. Check us out. We also have a Facebook page that we never, ever promote. Got to get better at that, man.
Yeah.
The social media thing. Well, when you have like 50 different pages, plus Google Plus and all this other stuff, it's hard to manage it all.
I mean, we'd spend more
Producer Milo
time.
doesn't do anything.
I know.
The guy sucks.
We'd spend more time talking about our Facebook page than sports.
Exactly. Yeah, no kidding. Exactly. So, but that's going to do it for this week. As always, call or text the D&D Show voicemail and text line at 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. Send us an email, doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening.